Hey everybody, this is Rustin, aka Quasimojo, here with you. It's nearly the witching hour, and I've got with me tonight Johannes Eckerström, the front man, the carnival barker, the ringleader for Avatar. The new album, Black Waltz, just came out on Valentine's Day here in the U.S., and of course we just heard Black Waltz, and we're going to talk all about the album as soon as I shut up and let Johannes talk. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very, very fine. I've been awake for more than 24 hours, but other than that, I'm doing just super.
Oh, good. That might make for some interesting conversation then.
Yeah, totally.
So,
I can say anything now.
Yeah, and you can say, hey, I was sleep deprived. And so you read the review already that I did of it. And I noticed when I read some other reviews after I put mine up that a lot of people didn't have the same take on it I did in terms of the bands and stuff they got out of it. You know, I think I'm the only one that mentioned Sepultura and Alice Cooper and all sorts of stuff. But
but it's kind of cool, I guess, because the thing is that the influences are from all over with this album. Well, I've always been like that, and the whole idea is to take influences from just about anything, maybe Sepultura or, I don't know, Kylie Minogue or something, and just ambition to put it through this in this blender, so we get this smoothie that is us. I guess it's the whole point to it. It makes total sense that you're all over the map.
There's just so much going on this album, but it's all uniquely different, but yet it is all very cohesive. Let's get this out of the way first, because people always want to know the question. It's the most pedestrian question out there, but people always want to know about the name of the band. And I know Avatar is like the name of a Hindu god who comes to Earth in animal form or something like that. I'm assuming that's your definition of it?
Yeah, exactly. The band was started by John, the drummer.
Right.
And I guess he learned it in school when he was 14, 15 or something. Exactly that a god in Hinduism, when a god manifests himself or herself on Earth as a human or in animal shape. So the idea of being a god in disguise is, that is where it came from. And then James Cameron came and ruined it all. So it was nice of him to have Sigourney Weaver playing me. That was a cool move, since I love the Alien movies. And then it was this Disney cartoon trying to be Japanese, and that nobody's watching it anymore, but we're still around. And then you have what's even more annoying. The first thing that happens actually, that little picture you have when you're in a forum on the internet. Apparently that is an avatar. That was the first. Okay, we're Avatar. Oh, like that picture people have of Sauron's eye or a cat? No. So yeah, maybe it wasn't the smartest name to choose, but hey, that's our name now, and that is who we are.
No, it's a great name, and you're going to slaughter the U.S. with it. But so let me ask you this then, knowing what it means, if you were to come back a god in another form, what form would you take?
That is basically what's your favorite animal question, I guess. So that would be as an otter, because otters are awesome. But the whole idea is that we are, the idea, without getting too spiritual about it, is that we are these gods in disguise, meaning that in each and every human being there's this awesome, huge potential to achieve so much, to achieve godlike things, just that it's chained in our human bodies and our human perceptions.
Well, let's talk about the band now. You guys started out in 2001. You joined, I think it was like in 2003, because John originally started the band, as you said. And this is the band's fourth album, the first being released in the U.S. And over the course of those four albums, you've really defined and redefined your sound, and you've really come up with something totally new and unique, I think, with the Black Waltz. Can you maybe talk a little bit about the evolution of the band's sound?
Yeah, the thing is that in the beginning, we were, you know how band starts when you're 15, 16 years old. It was the guy, the kid with the Metallica t-shirt saw the kid with an Iron Maiden t-shirt on the other side of the schoolyard, basically. And that is how the friendship was born. between Jonas and John to begin with. And as we all join, we're all metalheads. We're all working real hard on growing our hair, and our music taste is all over the map in terms of metal. So we go from all the way to Italian power metal to Norwegian black metal, everything in between. And our common ground starting was that we all were really into melodic death metal and like mainly the haunted, if you would call them like death metal, and technical death metal. Well, that was our starting point. Was it's cool to play the fast, skilled, tricky stuff, and it's awesome to have clear melody in it with the brutality. That was what made the most sense for us in the beginning. So that is what we did with the two first demos, and then with the first album, Thought to Know Tomorrow, which, as always, is basically the greatest hits of the demo years. And then you have, with the second album, we took the technical side of it to the extreme, made a very fast and intense melodic death metal album. The songs were really short. We removed all what we thought were unnecessary parts. And it turned to, a form. It was a bulldozer with a Formula One engine on it. And then when we sat down to start working with album number 3, we realized that if we were to continue walking down the path we were on, we would end up somewhere where we didn't really feel that we belonged to anymore. Because with all the touring and with getting to know each other more, we rediscovered together how much we love heavy metal and, classic heavy metal and rock and roll and things with a groove. And there was we listened more to Led Zeppelin and the camper van than we listened to brutal death metal stuff together. So with the third album, we put in the rock and roll to it, and it was the whole idea to removing the traditional melodic death metal stuff and keeping the extreme side of it, I growl and it's heavy and detune and all that, and instead adding lots of rock and roll to it. So that is where we were at with the third album, which was basically doing some kind of revolt against ourselves, tearing our own past apart, tearing down whatever we built to build something bigger. So that was cool, that was fun, and it was necessary. And now with the fourth album, we have rediscovered metal again, and rediscovered rediscovered metal, but we kept the whole. We brought with us from the whole rock and roll era of the band the focus on the groove and the fact that you can let the riff do the work. Like, Black Sabbath logic. If the riff is awesome, then play the riff. And if it felt good, play it again. And then double that. And that whole idea of structure to have that the foundation of the songs, no matter where they were going after that, but it's always built clearly around an awesome riff with a groove to it. So that was the foundation for this album. And then during the process, we gained the courage and self-confidence to let the music take us wherever it needed to go, if you will. And with that came these parts that makes me feel like awesome were Pink Floyd, which was a real cool spice to it. And then we met this cool guy, Waltz, in the studio, who was a kick-ass dude when it came to doing electronic stuff. And that is where you get the industrial spices to it, which is real cool, the combination, that, like I said, that we build it around the riff and build it around a very human, organic groove. But at the same time, in the other ring corner, we have this industrial foundation, this industrial canvas background to it all, which makes it really, cold, atmospheric, and extra heavy. I guess that is where we're at today.
There's a lot of groove on this record, and that's one of the things that I love so much about it. It seems Black Waltz altogether, you know, with you and the makeup and everything else that's going on and the vibe of the record, feels very much like a concept record. In your mind, is it a concept record, or is it just has an overall feel of cohesion?
The thing is that it kind of grew into becoming some kind of concept record. That was not what we set out to do at all. We just wanted to make a bunch of cool songs that fit together, you know, with a lot of attention to detail. But in the end, when we needed a cover photo and we needed a music video for this song, and the circus theme made sense, and working with the sideshow guys made sense, and then suddenly I was in makeup, we took a picture, and there you go, the album cover, and we realized, yeah, this is what it's all about. It was like that picture just waited to be taken, basically. So it ended up having this concept, but it grew very organically from the writing process.
Now, do you think that where you've taken it with Black Waltz, when you go on moving forward to future albums, is this sort of, I mean, the look, the imagery that you used on Black Waltz, are you thinking that's going to follow over into future albums, or is this just sort of singular for this album?
I would not be surprised if we once again would totally reinvent ourselves. I'm very comfortable in doing this sound that we have today, to do it right now. But if I should know how we work by now, and we always, you know, are hungry for doing something else, picking up another level. That being said, I'm not sure. The thing is that the clown makes sense. The clown thing and the whole imagery helps me and helps the band we express ourselves so much better. We are so much more visually in tune with the music now than ever before. So as long as that works, we'll stick to it. And if we think of something better, we'll start doing that. So right now it's an unwritten chapter, if you will.
Absolutely. We are going to come back and talk some more with Johannes here in just a few minutes. Right now we're going to play a track off Black Waltz. We're going to play one of my favorites, Let It Burn, and we'll see you on the other side. We're going to talk about some of the songs on the album. Hey everybody, this is Quasimojo back with you with Johannes Eckerström of Avatar. Their new album, Black Waltz, coming out. We just heard Let It Burn. I'd like to talk about some of the songs on the album if you've got a little bit of time for that, because they're all so uniquely different.
Sure.
One of my favorites, the one we just heard, Let It Burn, it's very different from the other ones because you do more of a clean vocal. I mean, it's still gritty and dirty and everything, but it's not the typical death metal vocal or anything like that. You've got that sort of rolling, southern-tinged riff to it and everything. And I know you guys did a lot of jamming in the studio, and I don't know if this is one of those songs that sort of just developed that way, but tell us about that track, if you will.
That's pretty well guessed from you, because this is one of those that wasn't finished. We're usually, as I said before, we're a lot about, you know, attention to detail and having a clear vision when we enter the studio to actually put the songs on tape in the finalized versions. But this was one of those where we had metal around with it. Actually, originally, the riff was hidden away in a way more aggressive, thrashy, you know, tuka-tuka-tuka song. And it wasn't until we solo listened to the riff that Jonas had made that we were like, oh, that's one of your best riffs ever. Why did you put so much stuff on top of it? When we discovered that we had this, like you said, southern rock, but in a heavy way riff in there. And so we started to work with it like that. And but we never really got to finish it. It was one of those that fell between the chairs in the end, that we got a bunch of songs that we knew we're more confident in. When producer Tobias comes to rehearsal and we come to him with some CDs with, you know, showing him where we were at that time, and it was like, okay, you gotta bring that to the studio. We'll figure it out here, because that is an awesome song in there, basically. And we're like, okay, cool, fair enough. It's time to learn how to jam together. And we did, and that's that's the result, you know. It's kind of cool because that song is turned out to be the link between this fourth album and third album that had so much more rock and roll things to it. So this is basically in a way it's the echo of the era we were in with a self-titled album that we released before this one. So that's why, for that reason, it's extra cool to have it with us when we release like Waltz.
The whole album is really astonishing and strong, but as I said in my review, for me, the back end of it is really got some of the funnest stuff, because that's really almost where it feels like you got into a lot of that jammy stuff and really sort of got your adrenaline out, you got your confidence up, and just cut loose. Talk a little bit about Smells Like a Freak Show.
Well, first and foremost, I must mention it's funny how we talk about how your favorite parts are in the other half. The thing is that we started off to try to speculate in, you know, when you set up a order of for the tracks on the album, we try to think in a way of, okay, what might be the most accessible songs, what makes sense to open up the album with and all that. And in the end, we realized we have no idea. So we only built the track listing for its sole purpose of feeling that with each song, you're supposed to have the very reaction that you claim to have had, that it feels new and different with every song, and you get this flow where it's exciting all the way. So we didn't really think about, you know, oh, this will be the single, let's put that on track 2. We had no idea what the single song would be, because when we make music videos anyway, we only do videos for the songs where we have a good idea for a video. But Smells Like a Freak Show. Yeah, I don't take credit for writing the riff. That was Jonas, but I take credit for being the one saying that is awesome. I was fighting for that for a while before that. I got the other guys to tag along with me to realize, because I fell in love with that. It's like an alarm, you know, blah, blah, blah. You get this feeling of panic and frustration, and something is just about to explode. And so that attracted me immediately. And then when you add it, it's basically, you know, disco drums to it, and it gets this offbeat groove. It's just one of those that then start to make total sense. And but then when it came to other parts of it, as far as I remember, that is one of those songs that had like 20 versions before it ended up being what it became. Because in the end, with many songs, it was, okay, what are we supposed to do with it? And so many times it has ended up with, okay, the riff is awesome, let's play it over and over and over and over again. And this was one of those songs. And because of that, we felt we needed contrast to make it work. And that is where the chorus came from. You know, to have this, to come from panic and this frustration, almost anxiety, and have this great release into melancholy. I don't know, it's just something that made total sense. And it's also one of those songs that will let grow into whatever it needed to be. You know, with a crazy middle part, with that riff that just sound like, I don't know, strapping young lad, crazy.
Right.
And all that. It was just one of those that just got to happen. You know, we had 80% of it when we entered the studio. And then for the middle part, we needed to play around with it, and especially to figure out the drums. And it was so cool to, for the first time in our careers, to have gained that kind of confidence it takes to trust your instincts when it's, you know, in the 11th hour. So it was a cool payoff that song turned out so cool and so well, when it was in the end the thing that fixed it was spontaneity.
Right, letting it evolve on its own.
Yeah, exactly.
So, In Napalm is another one of my favorites. Tell us a little bit about that one.
That was funny because back in the day with the first albums, it was basically a bunch of us. We all wrote a song each, and we all, I could sit at home and I would finish the whole song and showing up to rehearsal. Here you go, guys, my gift from me to you. I did a song. And somebody tries to suggest to move a snare in it, and I say, no, it's done, you guys. This is how it's supposed to be. And then we fight for 2 weeks, then we get drunk and realize we're all being stupid. Let's try to move that drum beat. Okay, that worked. But nowadays it's more, it works more back and forth. So Jonas comes with a riff, I start humming something, and the other guys, they start to meddle with it, throw it back and forth, and suddenly we have a chorus in it, and it grows like a ping pong game. But this was one of those songs that Jonas pretty much wrote from beginning to end. And for some reason, we had such a hard time figuring out my job, the vocals for it. And that took us in such a long detour. It must have taken months from, he has this original structure, original idea for it, and it took this detour where we moved around parts. And maybe this isn't the chorus at all. Maybe that is, a good solo part, and, throwing the pieces around, going crazy with it. And a couple of months later, when we came full circle, and it sounded almost identical to what Jonas had first conceived. And we had just changed a couple of drum parts, and along the way figure out the vocals and written, and it got the right lyrics and everything for it. So that song could have taken us a day to make, but instead it took us 3 months. I cannot for my life explain why. Just in writing process, anything might happen. One song takes you half the time of the song length to actually write it, and then you have this beast that you lie awake night after night with, trying to understand what are we missing, what are the pieces, the puzzle pieces in place,
You just never know how it's all going to fall together. The last one I want to talk about in a minute, because I want to talk about the video too, is the title cut. But one last one before we get to that. The final track on the album, it's almost 10 minutes long, and it's almost like a kitchen sink. You guys threw everything at it. Tell us about Use Your Tongue.
Well, once again, Jonas comes with a riff. And yeah, you have heard the riff. It's insane. It's huge. Awesome. It's like a monolith on the moon. It's so epic and weird, super heavy, but it's psychedelic.
Yeah.
So we all loved it immediately. And then we went, okay, let's make a song out of it. But you could not make a song out of it in terms of what a traditional definition of song. It was just, this is too crazy. This is too crazy. What if we try to, make a Let It Burn out of it, we will choke it. This is insanity. It needs to be insane. So that's what we did. We went insane with it. And once again, loop it for a while because it's an awesome groove. And where do we go from here? Blues jam? Sure, why not? My roomie can come in and play some harmonica. Not because he could play harmonica, but because he owned one. And and then, one of our label managers here in Sweden, he hears it and, I played some slide guitar when I was 17. Oh, sure, let's try it. And it was perfect, it's all these spontaneous ideas. And then we felt like, okay, let's make a radio edit. We need 5 more minutes. Jonas, make an instrumental part of it. And we left him alone for a day, and he did all this, this riff that grows and evolves and turns into the solo and all that, and we let it be trippy, let it be psychedelic, let it, once again, this whole idea of what the music was on this album, let it take us wherever it needs to go. and that song needed to go for 10 minutes.
And it really is a monumental, epic piece. We're talking with Johannes of Avatar. We're going to come back in just a few minutes. We're going to listen to Smells Like a Freak Show. Crank it up. And we're back here on Mojo Radio with Johannes Eckerström of Avatar, talking about Black Waltz. The brand new album just hit like less than a month ago, Valentine's Day. Talk to us about Black Waltz, the song, and then the video you made for it, because that's where the whole vibe of the entire album sort of comes from.
Well, Black Waltz is without a doubt the oldest piece on the album. It was originally written for Schlacht, our second album, I think. And it was just one of those, once again, where we didn't really get to figure out what it was all about in the end. We had most of it done for years, but in the last second, for 2 albums, just screw it and let it go, threw it away, and because we didn't feel that it fit in. And during the end process of writing the Black Waltz album, we were just 2 weeks away from entering the studio for real, when all three of us had been humming and whistling and thinking about this song the whole night and during the day, and we meet up and, hey, remember that Waltz song you did? Yeah, I've been thinking about it too. And, so everybody had, independently of each other, been thinking about this one, and suddenly when we looked at the other material we had, it fit in, and it was just what we needed. So we picked it up again, and we just had to meddle with it, just a few tiny parts, and I wrote new lyrics for it, and it was all in place. So it's so cool that at the same time that we have made this, once again, this radical change with what the album sounds like compared to the early ones, we still have something on it that I wrote in 2007. So we're closer to our roots than ever in that context, at the same time that we managed to make something completely new. But it's cool. I guess it means that we always had it in us.
So when you guys went to do the video then, I know you got a troupe involved who sort of works with all this circus-like stuff, and you came up with an extraordinarily dark and twisted video for this.
Yeah, it was fun. It actually started that we were working on different ideas for the album cover. And one of the ideas was to put me in a burning lake. And we're not really fans of CG and special effects, digital effects, when doing stuff like this. If it's supposed to be extreme, let's make it extreme. So, yeah, I was standing in a burning lake. The surface had water around me on fire, and shot some pictures. And for this, we first tried to get help from some professional pyrotechnicians, and they pretty much said, "Oh, that's a cool idea. We will have nothing to do with it." And then we were fortunate enough to find this guy, Bryce Graves, leader of House Up Uppin', which is a sideshow group, and they tour he's American, the main part of the group is American, and they tour in the U.S. most of the year, but during the summer, they come to Europe for festival season and travel around the metal festivals and do their thing. And they happen to be in Sweden. We happened to meet, and he helped us with the fire stuff. And then he showed a couple of other tricks, drilling through his nose, eating glass, and all that stuff. And it was awesome. And when we talked about it, we realized this is perfect for the song, perfect for Black Waltz. So we realized when they were just staying in the country for another 6 days. So we had 6 days to write the script and prepare equipment and get locations and do everything that we needed to make the video happen. And during that process, also when we discovered the whole clown thing, and where we got the album cover, because we realized, okay, we want to focus on the sideshow artists. We want to focus on their thing. We don't need to have, someone playing the drums or guitar in the video. But we need someone to represent the band, and we need the singer to sing the song, and that is me. And first, we were just looking for a way for me to fit in with the environment. So I had different ideas for that, but, Scary Clown is a no-brainer. I've been a Batman fan since forever, so the Joker's awesome, and it was a no-brainer. So I get this makeup put on, and suddenly, bam, the way I act started to change. And I felt it became some kind of ritual that made me so much more connected to what the songs were all about. So we shot at this, and after me finishing, just jumping around singing the song in the studio, John, the drummer, yells, shoot some pictures now, and photographer came up and click, 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 bam, the album cover. So it's really cool that it's all this chain of fortunate events, and always us, seeing opportunities and grabbing them, taking those chances. So it was a real cool ride to be on to make that video.
Awesome, and everybody needs to go check out the video for sure. You're talking about coming to the States. I know that's a big plan for you guys this year. Any word on that yet?
Things are in the pipeline, so to speak. Negotiating, talking, and we're doing everything we can, fighting with teeth and claws to make it happen as soon as possible. Sadly, we're not huge in America yet, so it's not just to lift a phone call and say, hey, we're coming.
Right.
So it's lots of things that need to work out, but we're dying to go, and we're ready, and we will bring things that we are. The album is cool, and we love making albums, but to me and to us, in the end, the album is just means to reach the end goal, and that is the show. It all comes down to doing the live show and what we do on stage and what the songs transform into on stage. That is what we're all about. So releasing the album in America is really just going half the way.
Right.
We're only done 50% this far, so we're anxious to go. But when it's too early for me to promise anything, some interesting opportunities, and we're looking into it. And hopefully this spring. If not, hopefully this summer. If not, then I need to kill someone, and after that, definitely this fall.
Well,
we're coming.
We definitely want to see the band live, because I know you're a very audio-visual band, so there's going to be a lot of great visuals to it as well, but we want to hear those grooves and those riffs live, because there's a ton of just incredible riffs on this album. A few things I wanted to ask before you run out of here. First off, can people still get because we never got them in the U.S., where can people get the first 3 albums? Can they still get
Avatar.net, and then you get it straight from the source, and you get it straight from us, which is also the best if you want to support us by financing what we do. Avatar.net.
Avatar.net.
And I'm not sure about how the digital stuff works, but it might be on iTunes. I don't know. I'm not sure. But Avatar.net, definitely.
Okay. And I was going to talk to you about social media, because I know that's been really huge lately, but I couldn't find a Facebook page for you guys or anything. Do you guys do any
Avatar.official. Facebook.com/avatar.official.
Oh, okay, so it is there. So now we know. And do you guys have a Twitter page yet, or?
Yeah, we have it. I don't know who's using it, actually. I write some blogs, and that's come up on the Facebook page. And, we have a Twitter and all that. But every time stuff like this come up, I feel really, really old. I'm still getting used to using an iPod, basically.
Well, don't feel too bad. I still don't use one. All right, so last question then before we get out of here. You talked to my friends over at Noise Creep and did your 5 albums that changed your life. So what I will ask you, because that's normally one of the ones I like to ask, is name 5 essential metal albums.
5 essential metal albums. Okay, just one that comes to mind spontaneously is Imaginations from the Other Side by Blind Guardian. Was a huge eye-opener when I guess I was 12 or 13 at most when my brother put it on, and it was, when this thing that music, and especially heavy music, how it can take you to this whole different plane, and that might be, I don't know, Norwegian forests in medieval times, or this fantasy world, or this evil industrial universe, or whatever, but how atmospheric and big epic music can take you places, and that was huge for me. And then on a more classical note, Paranoid, also those early years with all those riffs that you got the list of the first 3 of the 5 first riffs I learned to play on the guitar, with Iron Man, Electric Funeral, and Paranoid, of course. Oh, and Warpix, okay, 4 of the 5 first riffs I learned how to play. That's, of course, huge.
So you had said on your list with Noise Creep of the albums that changed your life, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath was on there, and you said every time you listen to that album, it takes you right back to where you want to be with Avatar's music.
Oh, yeah, totally. So I guess I can, with my ambition today, I guess I can identify more with what I imagine the state of mind of Black Sabbath was with doing Sabbath Bloody Sabbath compared to the Paranoid album then. But still, when you talk about that, as an eye-opener in those early years, it's definitely Paranoid. And then I realized a bit later what Sabbath Bloody Sabbath was all about. And that is, I guess it stayed with me a bit longer, even though I love all those Ozzy albums, of course. Oh, and then we go with Ozzy Osbourne, and then we have, it's a hard pick. He was really my main man, and still is to some extent, was my main man for when starting high school. Diary of a Madman, and it's all about, I can pinpoint to especially Randy Rhoads' solo on Over the Mountain. That's still my absolute favorite guitar solo in metal or any genre ever. Okay, I'm up to 3, right?
Yep. And I'll admit it right here on the radio, if anybody wants to take away my man card, I did cry when Randy Rhoads died. Him and
I wasn't born.
Exactly, so...
Fintroll. Do you get Fintroll over there?
Oh, absolutely.
Jaktens Tid, the second album. And I guess I was 15 on my way to the premiere of the Lord of the Rings movie when hearing it, which was perfect, but which ended up that I was rooting for the orcs watching the movie. And I remember listening to that, I don't know, as many times I could cram in between coming home from school and falling asleep for weeks, that album. Also, like with the Blind Guardian, how it pulls you into another world. Oh, and I got a good last one. The most influential albums, it's a hard pick between 2, actually, but for the whole band in the beginning, I will pick my personal favorite. It's The Haunted Made Me Do It by The Haunted.
Right. 2000, I think that's when that came out.
Yeah, something like that. And we're this. We're from Gothenburg area. We're Swedish West Coast. We've got a roots in melodic death metal, but we kind of in this little brother generation, if you know what I mean. So I heard at the gates like 2 years after I had listened to The Haunted until my ears bled from it. So I guess for most other people it's the other way around, but The Haunted Made Me Do It was that album that was. But it's, like I said, how it could be so extreme and aggressive and still be so melodic and still be able to tell a story with each song like they did and have this diversity within their style and within being still so consistent and being aggressive. It's an amazing album, still to this day. And I love the dry sound that you can put really loud without getting it overwhelmed, just get more and more in your face. Awesome album.
Johannes, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us tonight. We really appreciate it. The new album, Black Waltz, just phenomenal. Definitely go check out my review on Metalholic.com. Buy the album, support the band. as we get out of here, which song from the album should we play on the way out?
Paint Me Red.
Paint Me Red.
Let's take that one.
That was the one. How did I word that in the review? It sounded like
it was something Lady possessed Lady Gaga during an exorcism or something like that. And I read it and I was like, oh, fair enough.
Well, the undertone of it has a very pop sensibility to it, but it's very...
Oh, yeah, totally. I guess that's the pop song of the album.
So, Johannes Eckerström from Avatar, pick it up, buy it. Thanks for hanging with us. We're going to take it out of here with Paint Me Red.